Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of the Expanse Redoubt. And I overall enjoyed this episode, though granted, most of my enjoyment came from, like, the Rossi stuff that we were getting. We got some movement on Laconia, but it's more like, I understand that this is probably setting up for the spin-off series and movie thing that Amazon is committed to with The Expanse, but it's just, I understand that you need that to occur. However, I would have almost rather had a mini-series slash web series kind of thing, where that stuff is more adequately given more time, given more resources, given more work on the content to actually work through. So that way it doesn't take away from, we needed this season to effectively focus on Marco and the Rossi and everything going on with the ring. That conflict needed to be wrapped up for this to be that kind of final season. And this is just taking time away from that. But I understand we need the time that's given to this because I think this is important for what's kind of going to be going forward later on. So we've got the Laconia stuff going on. We got Avasarala on the Belters. And we got the Rossi stuff. So let's tackle that in actually that order. So we open off and we see in the Laconia stuff that they are having a funeral for the kid, Kara's brother. I mean, it doesn't help, but the thing is he's more of a plot object at this point for what's kind of going on. Now, I do kind of like that we are introduced to this kind of death ritual that goes on in Laconia, because you're kind of wondering, alright, it's kind of a colony, how would it kind of do this? So it's kind of an open wake. They kind of have the body laid out there as everybody's kind of talking around. We see the mother and the father being kind of like consoled and everything like that, saying, hey, we'll kind of help you with whatever you need. We learned that it was somebody taking a corner too fast, car tipped, well, truck tipped and boom. But see, we're getting this kind of snippet stuff at the fringes. This stuff I kind of like because it kind of gives us a little bit more insight to Laconia as a colony, and that they're already talking about doing a firing squad on him. And it's just kind of like a really big theme and exploration going throughout this episode is death, killing, and like the consequences of those kinds of actions. So I do kind of like that. However, it doesn't dive as deep as I would like. I'm like, oh, okay, we got this dude who accidentally killed somebody, and that they could potentially do a firing squad on him. I'm like, if you pretty much can show that the dude did as much as he could have, and it just was an accident, that is a far over correction of what's going on. Now, if they were driving drunk or fucking trying to pop a wheelie on a truck while taking a curve, being like, I'm on one wheel, bitch, that of course is a different kind of matter, and still doesn't really kind of fix the fact that like a kid's dead, you know? But it's showing us that this colony does not take death very lightly and will actively like take somebody out that took somebody else out. So it gives us that kind of thing going on. And that kind of gives us a little bit more interesting because that seems more of a militaristic bent of that this would probably be more following a militarized kind of code, kind of similar to the Martian stuff that we've seen previously throughout the show. And then we see that this dude comes up and starts kind of like talking to Kara, and I actually really liked this scene. It was an important scene, and it definitely gave me more insight to I learned, I had to look this up, Admiral Winston's character, and that he is the one that's in charge of the colony, and he felt it necessary enough to come to this child's wake and try and console the family. Now, I don't know that much about this character because, granted, I'm watching the series more, and then I'm going to be like going through the books, so my attitudes on this guy will probably change. But this was an effective kind of introduction for this character because you're like, alright, who the fuck's in charge of this colony, huh? We got some shit going on, we don't know what the fuck's going on, and this was a really good way to kind of introduce that and introduce his kind of human side, trying to talk to her, trying to help this child. And she's like, yeah, I get that I'm supposed to be sad and that it's okay to feel these feelings. And it's interesting. You try and be as empathetic with a kid or with somebody as possible, and it's like, you just gotta talk to him like a person. It's like, hey, how you feeling? You know what I mean? And he commiserates with her over the loss of her brother, and she's like, I just want him back. And he feels the same thing with, like, yeah, I lost a place, and I knew that feeling, but the thing is, you got to make that sacrifice mean something. And it's like, I always get the kind of like warning lights in the back of my head when anybody starts talking about a sacrifice, because you always have to be careful. Like, sometimes there are necessary sacrifices, and then there are people that will try and say that there was a necessary sacrifice when you could have just like taken 2 steps to the right and dodged something. So I'm always like leery of like, you got to make that kind of mean something and everything. They had actually a nice moment. It actually made me kind of like the Kara character a little bit better, because she actually had someone to kind of like bounce off with that wasn't just... I think her main problem that I've had going up into this point is that she's got her parental figures, which she doesn't really have good kind of content worth. It's just like, hey, I'm a kid, hey, I'm a parent. Here we have actually 2 characters kind of like working it out. So I'm like, yes. However, after he's kind of like done talking to her about like life, death, the grieving process, and like emotions and all that, we get the guy, damn it, I forget his name, but he was important within the station that was used to research the proto-molecule in the first couple of seasons. He comes up to the Admiral and was like, listen, I gotta tell you, I did one of the things and I got like an answer back, and we really need to fucking figure out what's going on with that. It's like, okay. And then it did kind of like a pan out to like the proto-molecule station structure. Now, since we haven't had the time necessary delved into this part, I don't know if they've got people on that station or if they're trying to contact it to be like, are you awake? Essentially taking the stick that they've got to poke it with. And it's like, it sounds stupid, but sometimes you have to essentially go with the dumb fucking method to understand what the fuck's going on, to get a reaction, to get data, to understand what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I intend to be a kind of cautious person by nature, and I'm just like, you always have to watch out with that shit. Well, we don't get the complete pet cemetery thing going on now, but we do see that towards the end of this, the sister does wheel out her brother's dead body, so we gonna get some kind of zombie-ass thing going on. Now, granted, I don't know how zombie it is, because it could either be like Day of the Dead brains kind of thing, or it could be something along the lines of Mass Effect kind of thing, where essentially they have no will of their own and are instead kind of like enthralled by like a higher intelligence, like an AI or whatnot. Very similar to kind of like a Lich white kind of model in like Magic as well, where a Lich will raise a dead body to be a white and then be like, go fucking beat that shit or eat that shit kind of thing, and it's like, and then fuck. So I'm expecting a horrible, horrendous kind of insanity to ensue once they're able to figure out that, hey, we can resurrect our dead and have undead warriors that could potentially do weird fucking shit before, like, whatever was fighting the proto-molecule, and those who did the proto-molecule be like, we did this for this express fucking purpose to not have motherfucking zombies. That would actually be some kind of an interesting kind of twist. That was just me thinking and theorizing. That, who knows? There's a lot of cool, interesting directions, which is why I would actually like them to focus on, like, hey, yeah, we've got all this crazy shit going on with Marco and Norris, but, we're just taking for granted that we got, like, a ring scenario thing and we can go to all these places, and, like, this was, like, dormant for a reason. We haven't, like, interacted with anybody that's actively using this technology, so what the fuck's going on with this shit? No, that's just me. Okay, I just don't want to be beaten to death by a fucking eldritch AI monstrosity, or even, like, alien monstrosity that's like, come on, baby! It's like, no thank you. So, let's delve into the rest of the kind of main bits. We also had drummer stuff, but I'm going to link that in with the Marco and Norris kind of stuff. So, let us deal with Avasarala and Monica. Yes, I actually figured out the journalist's name. It's just, I don't need everybody to have their name kind of said But sometimes, if you haven't seen them a while, sometimes you kind of need a character to be like, hey, you, buddy! It's kind of happens with Monica and Flock of Seagulls, who's Marco's second in command. Like, I know she's got a name, but I'm able to, like, recollect her better with that kind of thing going on. So, we see that Monica survived. We see her actually taking pictures of the dead and everything. Avasarala has also talked with the Martian command because they have a situation here. We see that the Belters, the supervisor, is like, yeah, fuck the Inners. Essentially, I'm just boiling that down. It's like, yeah, screw this. It's like, we don't know, but we knew it was going to happen eventually or whatnot, that the Inners would overstep or whatnot. And it's like, we don't need them. Glory to the belt kind of stuff. And I'm just like, you don't want their help, you don't need their help. Alright, fine. Like, I'm always ready to, like, help anybody or whatnot. But these people who have gone to the void, who need food, water, and air, are just like, yeah, nah, fuck you. I'm like, okay. Like, at that point, she has given them pretty much carte blanche for, like, the UN and Martian forces to be like, alright then, we're gonna leave you completely alone. Good luck. I mean, you've got 3 weeks of food. You've already said that you are in a perilous situation. Avasarala could potentially have the data from Prax by now to essentially do some kind of thing to be able to work out that Earth's got food and the Belters have food, which Marco, we'll see, gets kind of blasted as well for what he's got, has told you to pretty much get fucked. And I understand the animosity towards everything going on. The Inners versus the Belters and all the stupid shit that they've all done to each other. But a big kind of key thing is, if you keep that hatred and don't learn to move past it, you're gonna fucking die sucking void. And I'm just like, alright, you gave them the perfect, like, it's crazy. I looked at that and I'm like, huh, you gave them the perfect fucking out to where they don't need to help you at all. And it'll just be known as Ceres Station pretty much killing itself to spite the Inners. And it's just like, if you're bent on killing yourselves, and that's your choice, I don't know what else you got. Like, I understand Avasarala trying to be in that kind of, like, position to try and figure out and help people. But that kind of is lessened because of what was going on here. And then we get that the Martian commander's like, we need to burn towards Marco. It's like, I don't think that's a tactically sound situation because they could be going into a trap. They burn hard. They've already got some shit taken out of commission because of the attack on Ceres. And it could put him in a precarious position. I'm more on Avasarala's side with this. Not to be... Again, I'm more cautious by nature, where if you're going to fucking thunder punch a cunt like Marco Inaros out, you make sure you got that, like, punch locked in. And... Now, granted, we also have that to talk about with the Rossi and Holden and everything, so we will get to that. But... Avasarala's like, I'm not committing to, like, a burn and churn kind of thing to get out there because we don't know exactly what the tactical situation is. And Martian Commander's like, listen, we'll go do it our own. To the Martian Commander's like, ooh, okay. That's, of course, where we see Avasarala seeing Monica, like, doing all this kind of stuff. Her kind of attaché is like, stop recording that shit. And it's like, no, let her do it. I did. Let her do that. And then later on, we see that Monica and Avasarala, she shows the footage of the dude with the cat. And he's just like, he doesn't like all the hate and everything going on. Nobody's moving past. We just keep hurting each other and everything. I like that he calls his cat the, like, lazy earther or whatnot because he, like, spoils her and gives her whatever she wants and all that. And he's just trying to help people. And it's just like, we see him going through all this kind of stuff and how it's just stupid. We see how all these people are trying to help each other because of what was going on Ceres. And Avasarala is like, this makes us look weak. It's like, yeah, that's the point. It makes all of us look weak. Because Avasarala wanted to pretty much make it to use as a propaganda thing to turn as many other Belters to it as possible on Marco and Nara. So it's like, yeah, I get that. However, the thing is, she's still looking at it as us versus them, where it's not really that. It's all of us are failing here and weak because we keep doing the same fucking bullshit dance. Belters get screwed over because they're dependent on the water, the water, air, and food. And they keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed till they pretty much are like, it's better to be dead, fuck it. And then they just go and they shoot their hurt out to whoever else is there, and then it pisses off the Earthers or the Martians or whoever else is hurt, and the cycle keeps continuing. It's like, yeah, it's pretty effective. Thing is, people need to learn the lesson. It's like, okay, we'll kind of have to see how this goes. Alright. We'll save the Rossi stuff for last. Where do we want to go? Let's do Drummer stuff first. Then we'll get to the Marco stuff. Then we'll get to the Rossi stuff. Drummer is able to find Marco's great stash of shit. And this was actually pretty cool. We got a lot of cool, space effects here. There's a lot of great space effects in this episode, so kudos to them for that. And they get on there, they're looking around, like, what the fuck's going on here? They're trying to figure out what's going on with the whole supply situation that they've got, they think are guards or whatnot. They thought maybe prisoners, but we see that they're, waiting for a drop-off. It's like, Michio, we kind of have to figure this shit out. Now, granted, the one dude is pretty much trying to push her because he's, in that kind of mode, because he's just in a firefight. Drummer is trying to be as calm as possible because because she understands that Michio does not respond well to that kind of stress. And the thing is, it's really kind of funny because I know that the guy dude kind of looks at Michio as weak, and everything that we've seen up until this point would probably kind of go along with that kind of characterization of her. However, we actually see two different sides here. His strength and how he's able to deal in a combat scenario, and Michio's strength and when she has to deal with a medical scenario. It's really kind of cool how to see that kind of going on, because they had to take some people out. The Golden Bow dude pretty much lost his kind of people, but he's with it, whatever. Alright, we gotta grab as much shit as we can and get out of here. But the thing is, the one dude, one of the crates were unstable and we're gonna hit Drummer. However, the dude pushed her out of the way and got his arm pinned. Michio's like, what the fuck's going on? She's like, we need kind of medical assistance. So she flies in the Tynan and gets on there, and we see that this dude's arm is fucked up. They aren't strong enough to really get it off enough to save the arm. So Michio's like, listen, I love you. She gets them to kind of lift it enough to pretty much do a tourniquet, and then saws his fucking arm off. It's like, okay, you want to think that this girl's weak? When she is in a scenario where she has to save a life, she made the hard call to chop your fucking arm off. And then comforts you while dealing with everything going on in the aftermath of that. It's like, yeah, she might be fidgety and crazy in a kind of combat scenario because she might not like killing people. That's another thing with the theme going on. However, when it's to save a life, she'll fucking, get into the zone that she needs to, deal with blood, deal with cutting someone's arm off, a person that she loves, to save their life. It's like, okay, was not expecting some kind of stuff with that. Which then leads Drummer to send off a broadcast that then dovetails into Marco's kind of shit. So, Marco is kind of pissed off that his other ships are out of commission and are taking a long time, so he essentially has some senior officer space, and said that even if the captain of one of those ships tried to ask for mercy, to have him spaced as well. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. It's Marco and Philip are actively pretty much kind of pissing me off, mainly because there's work enough in there to make them adequate characters, but they are more useful as plot objects. Mainly because I actually think Flock of Seagulls is kind of a better character, because she has to deal with the plot ramifications of Marco and Philip's insanity-inducing kind of shit. It's really kind of weird, because I'm like, she really has to thread some kind of shit, because she understands that Marco is acting like a complete dill chick. Like a dill hole. Just fucking idiot, just fucking shit up. That was a fight that didn't need to happen, and you got your ass kicked, bro, and you got ships fucked up, and you gotta patch your own fucking shit. And Philip has pretty much been retasked to doing the ship work. And this one dude's like, hey, what the fuck? Oh, shit, he didn't know that, like, Philip was being there. And he's like, hey, just treat me like one of them. Now, granted, I liked Philip in this portion, but then at the end he goes back to his stupid kind of shit because the plot demands that he acts like an asshole. Well, Flock of Seagulls pretty much tried to talk him into being a better kind of buffer with Inaros to, like, rein him in and give him counsel and everything. I'm like, yeah, she understands the situation. He is a loose cannon that is just fucking splooging in every direction that he fucking wants to. And it's going to get them completely fucked. And it's cool that she understands that and tries to be like, listen, she's not trying to play a Game of Thrones thing. She's trying to have this actually work. And Philip's like, screw that. So we see Philip kind of doing some stuff with putting plating and everything on. Almost dropped one of them and lost him into space because the one dude was like looking at stuff on Ceres and trying to see if his brother was okay. And the thing is, he's like, yeah, he's never been outside of Ceres because he's got bad vertigo. And it was really kind of cool to have that character have more character development than Philip. But it did kind of help Philip to try and humanize him a little bit. Then they actually go inside and try and like pick out debris and everything like that. But they find the disarmed warhead. And crazy thing is, I didn't know what was going to happen with this. I almost have expected the warhead to fucking blow and like fix this situation enough as it was. I'm like, I would have been okay. Or at least kill Philip. It's like, alright. But they're pretty much going to repurpose it, but I'm like, that's got like codes from like the Rossi or whatnot, and they're going to probably try and use the fire on somebody. But the thing is, Holden could probably be like, disarm that bitch. That would be fucking hilarious. If it's like, yo, I'm going to shoot you with your own torpedo. You mean the one I have fucking control over, you jackass? Boop. And then it's like, alright then. You said you gave it back to me. I'm gonna give it back to you, but this time it's gonna be hot, bitch. I don't know if they can completely wipe it, and I don't know how that's gonna kind of work out, if that kind of scenario could work out, but we'll kind of have to see. Then we see Philip pretty much jamming with the dude. He's like, all right, yeah, I got a friend. But then Drummer's like, hey, Marco, you bitch, fucking coward, eat my ass. Guess what? You can't get me, motherfucker. Eat me, shit. Fuck you. You taking all this shit. Because even though, like, the captain of the Golden Bough is like, yeah, people get rich during revolutions and shit. And, yeah, you can feed all this stuff with the Belters, and you'd think that would open Philip's eyes and open a lot of people's eyes, that he's got hidden caches of supplies everywhere just for himself. But Philip's like, no, Drummer's the enemy. I don't know how the crew of the Pella, like, there's not a lot of people be like, we were on top, then we lost Ceres, and then we chased the Rossi, and we got our asses kicked. And then the boss man has supplies and shit, and yeah, he fucking sucks. And Philip's just trying to do his shit, and it's just like, okay. You do a little bit of stuff that makes me think you could be okay, and then you just go in complete and utter dipshit mode. It's like, alrighty then. Cool beans. We also saw that Flock of Seagulls pretty much stood up to Marco and was like, yeah, I didn't space the captain, dude, because it's stupid and would have made you look even weaker. And that her plan is to pretty much be the governor of Medina Station. Be like, oh, governor of the crossroads of the empire. Okay. And then gives her a drink. It's like, alright, cool. Marco, of course, is that fair weather insane dick shit who'll just do whatever he wants. He'll be pissed off at you one minute and then like, ooh, yeah, you cool the next. It also is kind of dictated on the whims of the plot. Not as bad as Philip, because Philip is barely a character, but Marco is not far behind. Alright. So, those are those good together. Now, let's get to the Rossi stuff. So, we got a lot of stuff going on. We have a nice scene where Bobby and Amos are kind of like dealing with stuff, trying to fix things. Bobby's trying to fix her armor. She's really pissed off that the missile didn't work. And they're listening to some of Alex's tunes, and they are actually singing along with it. That was actually a really kind of sweet moment and a nice kind of thing that kind of gave them that shared remembrance of Alex. That was a really cool one. Then we see that Peaches calls Amos down Holden had also said that when Amos needs to like fix one of the arms of the cannons to a column, that he'd help out and all that. Yeah, and Peaches calls him down and is like, "Hey, I got the whole log thing with the missile," and Holden disarmed it, and he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna deal with this." So we then shift over and we see that Amos and Holden are dealing with the stuff outside. Amos is being even less talkative than usual, and Holden's like, "What's going on?" And Amos is like, "Listen, what are we doing out here? All right? You had the shot on Marco and you didn't do it. Now, I know you have a reason for like what you think is right and what you gotta do, but you gotta fucking tell me." It's like, "I don't owe you an explanation." You don't owe it to me or you don't have one. And then he just kind of like drops it for a little bit, and it's like, but he did hit him pretty hard. Not hard, but like, it was a good kind of tense moment for that kind of character development of what was kind of going on, because I get Amos' side. Like, they're out here to fucking stop this shit. And if they could have stopped that shit and Holden didn't, he needs a fucking good reason why. Alright? The thing is, we kind of do. So, that part's kind of done, and then we get to Naomi, who's like trying to figure out the pattern. She's kind of getting closer to it, but then Holden pretty much comes in, and I think he's trying to get that understanding of why he didn't do it. Now, granted, my kind of reasoning for not doing it would be kind of different than his. My kind of tactic in taking down Marco would be to kill his legend first, then take out the man. Pretty much in whatever way that it needed to go. If he was going to do his last stand, kind of Napoleon style, fine, okay, whatever. If you could capture him as much as possible, and then like pretty much break the legend of him completely to where that doesn't martyr him to anybody, cool, do that. That's my kind of tactic. I didn't know what Holden's kind of whole thing was, and it's good to kind of talk to this, because he actually goes to Naomi and be like, "Listen, I couldn't do it because I saw your son on the screen and I couldn't be the man who killed your son." Now, Naomi's like, "Don't lay this on me, alright? Like, I tried to save him and all that jazz, and I couldn't do it, alright? So don't blame, because now you're pretty much shifting like everything he does after this on me." And Holden, like, this was actually a really good scene of them kind of going back and forth with this kind of thing and being like, "Listen, I know you can handle this, and you say you can emotionally handle it, but every time, if I did that, every time you'd wake up and look at me, you would see the man who killed your son." And that is actually, I understand that. Like, I understand that Marco is doing horrible shit and that Philip is doing horrible shit. But Holden's like, if I did this, even if Naomi says she understands, even though she's done her own shit and doesn't want that shit on her, I think it would be very hard pressed to be able to separate that the man you love also killed your son, even though you have like your understandable kind of relationship with your son of it's kind of fucked up and everything. Like, I think that would be kind of like a thing in your mind that you really wouldn't be able to actively kind of control. It would be information there that, oh, she'd wake up, oh, Holden, the man I love, he also killed my son. Like, it would always be there. It's like, yup, I totally get that. Like, if it was just Marco by himself, Holden, I think, would have killed that motherfucker. Just to pretty much stop him. Like, he's not... I think he understands the danger that Marco would entail. But putting the son in there as well, like, he understands that, yeah, there would be kind of complicated feelings with Naomi there, but they're going back and forth, and they both make extremely valid points with what's kind of going on here. There is no kind of easy kind of solution on this. And I actually kind of like how they handle it that maturely. It's crazy because there's a lot of good shit here, and I'm just like, if you ironed out this other stuff, if you actually let a lot more episodes with better kind of pacing go, this shit would be rocking and locking like ain't nobody's business. So I really enjoyed that, and then we actually got another thing at the end where Bobby is still kind of moaning and whining about the. Now, granted, I'm not saying that she's. I don't feel that she's moaning and whining, but she's pissed the fuck off and is like venting more about like the odds of having a dud. It's like making those shots, then getting that shot, and making that shot, and having it a fucking dud. And Peach is like, yeah, that's like 1,000,000,000 to 1, man. And then Holmes like, oh yeah. And then Peaches brings up the whole thing of she's the one that found it, and Amos dealing with it. And they have another nice kind of chat. And it really, of course, centered on death and killing, and how she's like, yeah, and bringing about like why she didn't want to kill him, and what killing kind of means to her, of how she's like, I killed a lot of people that didn't deserve it and did deserve it, but the thing is, they haunt me just the same. Like, it doesn't matter, I still see them. And she tells him to not feel bad about not killing somebody, because that is an ultimate kind of thing that you carry with you forever. And the thing is, I think Holden would be able to deal with it more if it was just Marco, but him being able to be like, he's able to see Marco and Philip's faces. And yeah, I was intrigued that Peaches would give that kind of talk to Holden, but the thing is, the people that could really give you that kind of talk are the ones that are like Peaches, that have done those kind of things and carry those kinds of things. And I actually was like, god damn, that's actually some pretty good character development for both of them. And it's like, okay, I'm kind of glad that she was able to kind of get that to Holden's kind of level and be like, okay, yes, Marco's doing bad shit. He's going to continue to do bad shit. However, if you like answer in kind, you're going to get to a point that we've seen with the belt, that you're just going to keep doing a cycle. If you keep going this way, you're going to kill somebody who's going to then have some kind of family that'll be like, you know what? This person killed my family. I'm going to go kill them. That kind of thing. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes. I do like those kind of meditations. And there's a little kind of funny bit where she's continuing to add salt. She's like, yep, like the salt. It's like, let's see. I think I hit most of the important points, because we mainly end with the whole Philip thing, I believe. And those are the major kind of things that we have hit with Rossi and Avasarala, Drummer, and Laconia. So this is kind of weird, because honestly, I would think of this more as like the end of a certain arc and the beginning of like a 16 to 22 kind of one. It's gonna be weird because we've now got 2 episodes left. Chunks of those are going to be taken up with Laconia, because that's going to be setting up some other stuff. So I am interested to see kind of where this shakes out and how this kind of final thing is going to go. I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of thing where the Martian fleet is going to like jump the gun, go after Marco, and get like rammed. And then we're going to have the Rossi kind of like clean up some stuff, helping up with a UN force that is able to actively take down Marco and kind of put an end to that kind of thing. So we'll have to see what's going on, because normally when you're towards the end of a season like this, you have a kind of clear idea of where you're going to kind of be ending. Now, granted, that's if you're able to get your plots in your orders and you're able to be like, all right, this is how it's going to kind of go down. You don't have to have a complete roadmap of like, at the end of the episode, and this is the final 2 episodes. We're going to do bang and we're going to do bang. You know what I mean? But you at least have an idea. Here, there's a lot of balls still kind of juggling in the air, so we'll kind of see how this kind of works out. Either Marco's going to get a nice kind of victory in the 5th one, and then he's going to get fucking thunder shacked in the 6th one, or he might get kind of screwed over in the 5th one and then do some kind of weird F you, fuck you, motherfucker kind of death flame out in the 6th one. We don't know, so we'll kind of have to see how that kind of shakes out. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.